All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. Let's go ahead and get settled into a comfortable position. Maybe something that will be easy to hold for half an hour or so without moving. We might begin with a few deep breaths, letting the exhale lengthen. Just continuing to settle in. You might let attention rest on the breath. Just very gently. There's no need to be forceful about it. There's nothing about the breath that needs to be changed or fixed. It's okay just how it is. You might take a moment to see where your attitude is. It might be one of striving, trying to get the mind into a certain place or feel certain feelings, wanting certain things to happen. It might be aversion. It might be something about the present moment that you don't like. Or it might be simply kindness, kindness towards whatever is present, whatever you're feeling. And this is the helpful attitude to have in meditation. It's always kindness, even when things are uncomfortable or you may be feeling like you're not doing things correctly. The attitude is always kindness. There's never any reason to be anything other than kind to you or to others. this life is too short and too precious to be angry or critical or hateful. Just be kind, whatever is present. And when the mind returns from being lost in thought, receive that with kindness. There's no need to be upset at yourself. It's just the mind doing what the mind does. Instead, treat it like a lost puppy that came home. Give the puppy a little treat and some praise and a pat on the head. When the mind returns from being lost in thought, give yourself some kindness. Good job, mind. You came home. And then just return to the breath. Nothing more than that needs to be done. And as we sit with attention on the breath and kindness towards whatever arises, we might notice the mind starts to slow down a bit. Thoughts are less intense. Perhaps even some gaps open up in the chain of thought. The mind tends to relax. This is not something for you to do anything about. You don't need to hurry this along. It's just something to notice. Notice the consequence of approaching the world with kindness, consequence of not being lost in thought. Notice the peace that comes. You might touch into that feeling of relaxation again and let go into that. Just simply let go, whatever you're holding on to. You can feel what you're grasping at as tension in the body. You might feel that tension and simply let go. Let the mind be free. And at some point in meditation, the mind might become stable enough to remain present without the anchor of the breath. It's like walking a tightrope. At first, you may need to hold on to the wall, but at some point, you might get your balance and you can let go of the wall. You can do this with meditation as well. And if the mind is mostly present, you might try letting go and letting the mind open to a more spacious awareness. Simply letting all phenomena arise and pass away without preference or need to put your attention on any particular phenomena. And checking in with your attitude again, seeing if you can't bring a bit more kindness to experience. Just welcoming everything that arises. Everything is okay in this moment. Thank you all for your practice, both here today and in general. Practice that you do provides benefit to you, but that benefit also spreads to those around you and through them to the rest of the world. So thank you. Well, it's nice to see you all, both you folks in person and those online. Quick announcement before we get started. There's a Sangha brunch on the 20th of April at 10 a.m. for anyone who wants to join. So we live in a period of great, great abundance in terms of the Dhamma that's being taught. Um, we have the three main traditions, Theravada, um, Mahayana, and Vajrayana Buddhism. And within those, we have many different lineages and sub-traditions. And within each of those, there are like many, many, many teachers. And there's a whole wealth of Dhamma books and Dhamma talks that one can listen to. Practicing the Dhamma is often analogized to climbing up a mountain. And the tip of the mountain is enlightenment. And the point of this analogy is to kind of illustrate that there are many different ways up the mountain. And these many, many teachings that we have access to are all ways up the same mountain, up ways to find enlightenment. But sometimes with this wealth of teachings that we have access to, it's hard to know where to go. There's sometimes confusion about what to do, which practice to apply, and how to apply all these practices that we have skillfully. Often they seem to run counter to one another. For example, if you're sitting in meditation and you're doing a deep concentration practice where um, the teaching is to just be with the breath at the tip of the nose, and when anything else arises, to not give it any attention and to simply return to the breath. There's also the teaching to to be kind to yourself when you're suffering. And so when you're sitting in meditation, something difficult might arise, and you might have some confusion about which teaching to apply. Should I return to the breath, or should I stop that and be kind to myself? So that's one sort of way that confusion about all these teachings that we have can come up. Also, we often find ourselves really liking a particular tradition or teaching and really getting a lot of mileage out of that and using that for a while. And then the experience is often that, it's not quite so good. We're not getting the same benefit out of it. We really don't, we really don't like it so much, or something like that. And there's confusion about, should we stick to this teaching that we've had and it's been good for us, or should we let it go and find something else? Finally, there's also often confusion about how to apply teachings when our emotions get high. So we may have a teaching we like and we've had a lot of practice with that has served us well, but when life gets very stressful, we may not have the cognitive reserves and the emotional reserves that we've had in the past, and we may not be able to kind of perform this teaching that we've done before. And so this is what I want to speak about today, this moment, or maybe longer period of time where we're confused about what to do with these teachings that we have, and how to practice with them. so what I want to offer is that all of the teachings that people give, and all the kind of frameworks that we build with them, and the structures of logic and concept that we make, all those are very good and very lovely, and it's a very skillful thing to engage with the practice that way. But the thing to know is that we don't actually need those frameworks and teachings to engage with the Dhamma. That's one way of doing it, but it's not the only way. We have access to the Dhamma within us. It's part of our fundamental nature. And so people make this mistake that, they hear these teachings that they like, and they think that's the only way to practice, the only way forward. But that's not the case. You may have heard the phrase, the map is not the territory, or the menu is not the meal. The teachings about the Dhamma are not the act of doing the Dhamma. Those are two separate things. And ideally, that when you engage with the teachings, they'll lead you to act skillfully, to act out the Dhamma, but they're two separate things. And so what I want to offer, if you ever have this point of confusion, or this period of confusion in your practice, is that it's okay to step back from the teachings, the words and the frameworks. It's okay to step back into something much more simple. It's okay to step back into the core of practice. And the act of Dhamma, the thing at the very core, it's a very, very simple thing. It's not something that requires, it's not something that requires you to engage with it with your intellectual mind. You don't need to think about it, really. You don't need to figure out how to do it. You just act. And so the act of the Dhamma is very, very simple. It's not always easy, but it's simple. In fact, it's so simple that I can sum up the Dhamma in 4 words. So there's let go, and there's be kind. If I really wanted to push things, I could sum it up in 2 words and just say it's all be kind. The Dhamma is all about being kind. And so these are two actions you can kind of fall back into when engaging with the Dhamma through thought and concept is becoming difficult or confusing. And so letting go. Letting go is the same thing as just being fully present. Letting go means letting go of all your stories about what's going on, about what's causing confusion, or what the right thing to do is. Just letting go. It's letting go of wanting the world to be other than the way it is. And it's letting go of the felt sense of resistance, which you can feel it in your body. It may take some time to learn to access that, but it's a signal that your body gives you when you're holding on. And that's something you can let go of too. Letting go is letting whatever is present just be as it is, without grabbing for more, without you trying to push the feelings away, without dissociating and ignoring whatever's there. It's being fully present with what's there. And the mind that is fully present, if that's this mind here, and the mind that is resisting is over here. The difference between the two is the self. So the fully present mind resists, and that's a difference, and that difference is the self. So when we let go of the resistance, we're letting go of the self, which is the point of practice in the first place, letting go of the illusion of the self. This teaching is it's found throughout the suttas, but in particular the Bahya Sutta is the one I like. And I'll read. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll read part of it and paraphrase the rest. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi, at Cheta's Grove, in Anathapindika's park. On this occasion, Bahya was living at the Suparaka on the shore of the ocean. He was honored, respected, revered, worshipped, and esteemed. He received robes, food, dwellings, medicine, and medical supplies. Then, when Bahia was alone in retreat, this thought arose in his mind. There are beings in this world who are arhants, or on their way to being arhants, so enlightened. I am one of them. And a deva who used to be one of Bahia's relatives knew what Bahia was thinking, and out of compassion and well-wishing for Bahia, he approached Bahia and said to him, Bahia, you are certainly not an arhat. You're not on your way to becoming an arhat. You're not even doing the practices by means of which you could become an arhat. And so I'll paraphrase for a bit. So Bahia asks for the name of somebody who is an arhat and does know how to like teach people to become enlightened. And the deva points him to the Buddha, and he goes, he walks across all of India and finds the Buddha. And he gets to the Buddha, and the Buddha is in a city, and he's going on alms rounds. And Bahia goes up to the Buddha and asks for some teachings. And he says, teach me the Dhamma, Blessed One. Teach me the Dhamma for the sake of my long-term benefit and happiness. And the Buddha says, this is not the time, Bahia. I've entered a period for receiving alms. And Bahia is not satisfied with this. And so a second time he says, it's hard to know how long your life will last or how long my life will last. Teach me the Dhamma, Blessed One. Teach me the Dhamma for the sake of my long-term benefit and happiness. And Buddha says, no, it's not the time. And a third time, which is, if you ask 3 times, you get what you want in the suttas, apparently. It's hard to know how long the Blessed One's life will last or how long my life will last. Teach me the Dhamma, Blessed One. Teach me the Dhamma for the sake of my long-term benefit and happiness. So the Buddha says, okay. He says, therefore, Bahia, this is how you are to train yourself. In the seen, there will just be the seen. In the heard, there will just be the heard. In the sensed, there will just be the sensed. And in the cognized, there will just be the cognized. This, Bahia, is how you are to train yourself. Bahia, when it is like this for you, in the seen, there is just a seen. In the heard, there is just the heard. In the sensed, there is the sensed. In the cognized, there is just the cognized. Then, Bahia, there will be no you in terms of this. When there is no you in terms of this, there is no you there. When there is no you there, there is no you here, beyond, or in between. Just this is the end of suffering. So what he's saying to Bahia is that when there is just the phenomena of the rise, the sound, the thought, the sight, the feeling in the body, when there's just that, when there's no reactions, no trying to grab for more, no pushing them away, no ignoring them, when there's just the phenomena, that's liberation. That's the end of suffering, because our suffering is in our reaction. And so this is the teaching here. And this teaching is not something that's done. It's not something that needs to be, or sorry, it is something that's done. It's not something that needs to be thought about to put into action. So I'll give an example of where you might see how this would be useful. You've probably had the experience of sitting in meditation and having some physical pain, knee pain or back pain or what have you. And the way this might unfold, I've certainly had this happen to me before, is that the pain kind of increases and it gets maybe upsetting to the mind, and the mind starts thinking, well, maybe I should move, or maybe I should get up and stop meditation. And then maybe that's not so palatable. And the mind thinks, maybe I should keep meditating, but maybe I should switch to metta practice, since I'm suffering. Or maybe, maybe I should put my mind or put my attention on the pain in the knee, because I've heard that will help, alleviate the feelings of pain. And so the mind can get into this place where it's just this kind of whirlwind of thought, and the mind is just like running back and forth. What should I do? Should I do this or should I do that? And I've certainly had that happen for long periods of time, and it's just not helpful. That confusion of trying to engage with the Dhamma that way is not providing any benefit. And so in situations like that, it's okay to just like step back from that confusion and just take that, all those frameworks and all those teachings that you've been taught, just sit them to the side for some period of time and just engage with the Dhamma in a very direct way without all the kind of thought construct, and just do the Bahya practice. Let the physical sensations of the pain be just sensations and not need to add anything more to them. And that can be the lens through which you practice when otherwise practice is not helpful or fruitful. So the other way you might practice the Dhamma very simply is by being kind. And for this, I will turn to the Metta Sutta, which is my absolute favorite sutta. I won't read the whole thing, but I will read a bit of it. This is what should be done by one who is wise, who seeks the good and has obtained peace. Even as a mother, at the risk of her life, watches over and protects her only child, so with the boundless heart should one cherish all living things. Suffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around, without limit, so let one cultivate an infinite goodwill towards the whole world. Standing or walking, sitting or lying down, during all one's waking hours, let one practice the way with gratitude. This is the translation that I use for myself when I'm using the sutta, and I really like this translation. I think you can really see the kind of universality of applying metta, right? So as a mother would treat her only child, so too should you cherish all living things, suffusing love over the entire world, above, below, and all around, without limit. So let one cultivate an infinite goodwill towards the whole world, standing or walking, sitting or lying down, during all one's waking hours. That's how one can practice metta, practice kindness. It's applicable in any situation, in any circumstance. The mind that we're trying to cultivate, the enlightened mind, is a mind that only moves and acts with kindness. It doesn't have any other self-centered motivation. It doesn't have any self-centered motivation to it. It only acts with kindness. And so we, unenlightened folks, act with kindness. We are directly paving the way for enlightenment to come to fruition. So when we practice this way, we are practicing very directly, and we don't have to use any kind of framework or thought around that. We can just act with kindness. And the example that I have for this is, some years ago, a friend of mine was doing something that was like quite hurtful to me, and they weren't aware of this, but and so this was an ongoing thing, and I really wrestled with this. Like I brought all of my Dhamma skills to it. I thought about right speech and how to talk to this person, and I thought about not taking what was freely given when I kind of broached the subject with them. I thought about what right action should be. Maybe I should maybe I should just like sit with these feelings myself and not bring it up to this person. And my recollection is that this went on for some months with no resolution. I recall like thinking like one day, this will be the best way forward, and I should do this. And then the next day, thinking, something different would be the good way forward, and never really settling on what was right. So I had all these different teachings in my mind, and they were skillful teachings, but I wasn't in a place where I could really make use of them effectively. And so what happened to resolve the situation is that one day I just happened to have one of those days where your heart just opens up, and you just have all this love for the world, and just sort of randomly happened that one of those days occurred, and I was able to look at this situation with that heart, that heart of boundless open kindness, and I was able to hold this my friends' wants and needs and my wants and needs with kindness. And I was able to just act and just cut through all this, all these like uh, great and voluminous thoughts and plans that I had made, and I was able to just like cut through all of that, just act with kindness, and that resolved the situation. And that was a skillful thing to do. I didn't need to engage with all these teachings. So, do your practice in whatever way feels good for you. Find the tradition and teachings that, motivate you and are inspiring to you, and help you on your way forward in your path. But don't make the mistake of thinking that those teachings are the only way to do the Dhamma. Um, don't make the mistake of thinking that if you don't practice the Dhamma that way, then you're not practicing, or you're not doing something helpful. Um, that's not the case. When life or practice gets difficult, it's okay to let that complexity go. Let the teachings fade or set them aside, and just return to the core of practice. This very, very, very simple thing. These very simple acts of just being present and just being kind. When the time comes, you can pick up your old practices again, or you can find some new ones, but it's okay to just practice in that simple way, without thought or without concept. That's what I'd offer.